The notice requirement provided for the Open Public Meetings Law has been satisfied. Notice was properly given. Said notice having been transmitted to the Courier News on Tuesday, January 6th, as well as posted on the city's website. Clerk, may we have a roll call?
Council members Briggs Jones,
Present.
Cherry,
Present.
Graham,
Present.
McCray,
Present.
Wyatt,
Present.
Vice President Sessoms,
Present.
Council President Hockaday.
Present.
All members present and a quorum.
Thank you. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for the invocation.
Humbly we ask God, the giver of peace and the lover of charity, to give the entire family of nations true agreement with his will, and to grant the light of his spirit on all those who work for justice and peace. Amen.
Okay, may I have a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of January
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any oppositions or abstentions? Okay, the meeting minutes are approved. We'll move right into our discussion items. First, we'll start with the mayor and the presentation to the Divine Nine. You ready for that, Mayor? Yes. All right.
Is there anyone here representing the Divine Nine?
I'm Kappa Alpha Psi.
Zeta Phi Beta.
Yeah, no. We got Zeta Phi Beta, Delta Sigma Theta, Kappa Alpha Psi.
I meant
They went home.
I meant the Pan-Hellenic Council president, namely Sherlock Dow.
Okay.
There's no one. Okay.
But he is an alpha, though, right?
All right.
He's an alpha.
I will read this proclamation. Whereas the Divine Nine represents the 9 historically black Greek letter organizations that comprise the National Pan-Hellenic Council, NPHC, organization. Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity, Inc., founded on December 4th, 1906 at Cornell University. Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority, Inc., founded on January 15th, 1908 at Howard University. Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity, Incorporated, founded on January 5th, 1911 at Indiana University. Omega Psi Phi Fraternity, Inc., founded on November 17th, 1911 at Howard University. Delta Sigma Theta Sorority, Incorporated, founded on January 13th, 1913 at Howard University. Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity, Incorporated, founded on January 9th, 1914 at Howard University. Zeta Phi Beta Sorority, Incorporated, founded on January 16th, 1920 at Howard University. Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority, Incorporated, founded on November 12th, 1922 at Butler University. And Iota Phi Theta Fraternity, Incorporated, founded on September 19th, 1963 at Morgan State University. Whereas members of these organizations have walked boldly in the footsteps of giants, Shirley Chisholm, Vice President Kamala Harris, Carrie G. Hill, Zora Neale Hurston, Michael Jordan, Colin Kaepernick, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., John Lewis, Hattie McDaniel, and countless other trailblazers who have left an indelible mark on history. And whereas the city of Plainfield recognizes and celebrates the impact of the Divine Nine on our local community, acknowledging the dedication of fraternity and sorority members who uplift and inspire through mentorship, scholarship, programs, health initiatives, and civic engagement. Now therefore, be it resolved that the mayor of the city of Plainfield, on behalf of its residents, proudly recognizes the invaluable contributions of the Divine Nine in honor of African American History Month 2025, and be it further resolved that the City of Plainfield encourages all residents to learn about, support, and celebrate these historic organizations that continue to shape our nation and build a brighter, more just future for generations to come. And I would like to just congratulate all of the members on the governing body who are a part of the Divine Nine, as well as those of you in the audience who are a part of the Divine Nine. Happy Black History Month.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, our Council Vice President Sessoms will present a resolution honoring the life and legacy of Albert D. Pitts.
Thank you, Council President. Good evening, council colleagues, administration, and those residents who are in the audience. I stand before you this evening to recognize a lifelong resident of Plainfield who has transitioned this resolution in honor of Albert D. Pittis, and I'm going to ask Jim Spears to come up and receive it. Whereas the City of Plainfield proudly recognizes and celebrates the life of Albert D. Pittis, a lifelong resident whose heart and soul were dedicated to this community. Albert passed away on January 31st, 2025, at the remarkable age of 94, leaving behind a legacy of service, passion, and unwavering commitment to the betterment of the City of Plainfield. His contributions are extensive, so I will not read the resolution in its entirety, but will highlight a few things. He was a graduate of Plainfield High School, class of 1948. He also graduated with a bachelor's degree from Princeton University and also received an MBA from Rutgers University. He was called to duty in 1953 to 1956, serving as a communications officer in the United States Navy. He was president and treasurer of the Plainfield Business Association, Plainfield Special Improvement District, Plainfield Parking Authority and Beautification Committee, Anti-Litter Committee, and Cultural Heritage Commission, always striving to enhance the vibrancy of our beloved city. He was a 40-year team organizer of the Plainfield Festival of Arts. Albert's devotion to Grace Episcopal Church was unwavering from his early days, singing in the choir and serving in the vestry. He was a beloved figure in the Netherwood community, championing preservation and social initiatives that strengthen neighborhood bonds and enhance the quality of life for all who called Plainfield home. Whereas the City of Plainfield will forever be grateful for the indelible mark of Albert D. Pittis left in the community, his unwavering service, leadership, and boundless generosity continues to inspire all who strive to make a difference in our great city. Now, therefore, it be resolved that the Plainfield City Council, County of Union, State of New Jersey, proudly honor and celebrate the life of Albert D. Pittis, recognizing his extraordinary contributions to our community, the arts, historical preservation, and civic engagement. Therefore, it further be resolved that a copy of this resolution be presented to the family of Mr. Pittis as a token of the City of Plainfield's deep appreciation and admiration for his incredible legacy. And I know that his daughters are watching via virtual meeting. And speaking on behalf of the family will be Jim Spears.
Thank you very much, Councilwoman. This is just absolutely beautiful to honor this man. He was my next door neighbor, my friend, and my fellow parishioner at Grace Church. On behalf of his two daughters, Carolyn and Melinda, I thank you very much. I also want to give thank you to the administration. In the last 2 weeks, as we knew that our friend and Plainfield's son Albert was slowly fading, we reached out to the administration to see if we could get access to the Grace Church, to the Caroline, which was given by his family over 100 years ago, and it was updated in the 60s by Albert's older brothers. And we thought we'd like to get in there, just give one more ring as the hearse went by to honor this son of Plainfield. And I reach out to Mayor Mapp and thank you, Mayor. Thank you. Your presence at the funeral honored him. That is much appreciated. Director Fields for her work in doing an investigation with the developer and the diocese to find out what happened to the bells, and to Orrin for getting the church cleaned up. What we ended up doing, since the bells have been removed from the church, and I think my friend and neighbor and fellow Grace parishioner Jeff Spellman will speak to that later, is that the bells were removed. And so what Jeff arranged, and about 30 of us did, is we stood outside the church and rang the bells as the hearse went by to honor this great man. And again, Orrin, thank you for having the church cleaned up. It looked beautiful. I appreciate that. And to conclude, thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. We'll move on to our business. First, with consideration of public hearing, second reading, and final passage. We have ordinances MC 2025-01 through MC 2025-07, which are scheduled for public hearing and final passage for the regular meeting as advertised. We now move on to resolutions. Legislative body items will be first. Do we have a consensus to add legislative items R11025 to R11125 to the voting meeting? Yes. Okay. Any of those items we wish to take off? Hearing and seeing none. All in consensus, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition or abstentions? Okay, those shall be added to the voting meeting. We will next move to the mayor and business administrator items. Would you please present your items?
Yes, thank you, Council President.
You're welcome.
We have two items for advice and consent. The first one is our reappointments to the Plainfield Shade Tree Commission, and the second one is a reappointment for Judge Carl Marshall, who serves as our Chief Municipal Court Judge. The next one is a resolution to execute an agreement with Claims Resolution Corp. You might know them as CRC. They're our third-party administrator who handle our workers' comp claims. They've been on for quite a few years, and that amount is $49,500. There is no increase from the previous year. The next resolution is a renewal for Lita Gonzalez to serve as our interpreter for the court. This is we are legally obligated to provide this. We also want to provide this. She provides interpretation for every language, including sign language. And if she can't do it herself, she has, in her staff, they provide everything. And this is an increase. We're going from $87,000 to $100,000 in this year's budget because, as you may recall, we added a new session. A new Thursday morning session in the court, so there's an additional session, therefore we have to have her for more hours. And then finally, we have the annual fireworks agreement for the 4th of July.
Okay. Any questions or comments from council members?
Council President, on the fireworks, is the $30,000 what we paid last year?
I think we always have up to $30,000, yes.
Thank you.
Any others? Okay. Do we have a consensus to add these to the voting meeting?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition or abstentions? Okay, those shall be added to the voting meeting. Department of Finance, please present your items.
Good evening, all.
Good evening.
I have 5 resolutions for your approval. Resolution R-11725 is resolution granting advice and consent to appoint Vince Bono as tax collector for the city of Plainfield. He had previously served an unexpired term and now this is for a full term. In his short tenure, he brought many enhancements to the tax collection department, and there are still some other enhancements in the pipeline to be brought. Resolution R-118-25, resolution authorizing the transfer of appropriations for the budget, the 2024 budget. And statute allows us to make transfers the last 2 months of the year and the first 3 months of the year, and this is one such transfer to cover insufficient funds for a line item. Resolution 119-25 is authorizing the award of a contract to Millennium Strategies for full-service grant consulting services. For March of 2024 through the end of the year, they brought us approximately 2.6 million, and we have many grant applications pending for 2025. Resolution 120-25 is a resolution authorizing tax refunds on properties. For 3 of these were tax appeals, and 1 was an overpayment with CoreLogic. And then resolution 121-25 is resolution authorizing approval to cancel taxes, and this is for someone who's 100% veteran disabled. Are there any questions?
Any questions for the director?
I have a question, Council President.
Please go right ahead.
118-25, you mentioned we need to move the funds due to insufficient funds in one of the accounts. Can you just elaborate on that?
Right, so there is one account that just needed some additional funds, so we had to move some funds from Public Works to the fire department to cover salaries.
Any follow-ups?
I
Any
have a
other
question.
questions?
Council President, for R 117-25, how many hours does this tax assessor work throughout the week?
On paper, this tax assessor is supposed to come in about 1 to 2 days per week. But I can honestly say that I can call this tax assessor anytime. We were on the phone on Saturday, for instance, and he came in on Saturday. And after hours, before hours, anytime at all. So on paper, it is about 16 hours, but his availability is unlimited as far as I'm concerned. And this is for the past 2 years since he's been here.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Council President,
Go right ahead, Councilman Wyatt.
just 2 quick questions. 119-25, the 60,000 for Millennium Strategies, do they also get a portion of the grants that we receive, a percentage?
No.
No, so it's just
No,
flat rate,
this
60,000
60,000 is the not to exceed fees for them for the year.
for the year? Okay. And a question on 118-25, I just thought about this, with the CBAC and preparing for the budget. When are we going to start that process, and is there a way that we can move it up a little earlier so people can be trained and have expectations? Because last year, going through the process, I see that many people were rushed, the process was rushed. So is there a way that we can look to either extend that or start it earlier?
I would say we might start that in March, because the process is the department heads have to go through their budgets. Then we meet with the department heads, and we only concluded that last Tuesday. We have to meet with them. Then we have to take all those numbers and we have to put them in, run them. It's a little bit more detailed, so that when we get to you, you have a finished product. So we're still working on those numbers right now, because our last meeting we had meetings all day on Tuesday. So I would say, I know I mentioned to Councilwoman Sessions end of February. I would say sometime in March that we would get to see that.
Okay, so a couple of weeks. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, do we have a consensus to add these items to the voting meeting?
Yes.
Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposition or abstentions?
Yes, I would abstain from R 117-25.
Okay, can you note that? Okay. All right, the Department of Public Works, please go right ahead.
Council President, the Council, the Department of Public Works has 2 resolutions to present. Resolution R2225, authorizing D. Alvino Construction, Inc., install a completely inclusive playground at Rushmore Playground for the complex, Products Complex, which we're excited about. It's a completely inclusive playground with all the amenities. Resolution 12325, judge to authorize the water professional service contract for Remington Burnick for the Safe Streets for All Action Plan, which is some exciting too, as we talk about promoting better traffic patterns, et cetera, and working in conjunction too with our police department with all crash data, et cetera. So it's too positive. That's all I have. Any questions? I'm happy to answer.
Council President, I have a question.
Go right ahead, Councilwoman Cherry.
R122-25, what's the timeline of completion, and what phase are we in for the Rushmore Park?
Well, this is just the playground itself. We didn't get started yet. Once you got to approve it, then we can move forward with construct contractors starting the work and the weather committee. Our goal is to have everything completed sometime late April, early May. Late
To
April,
complete?
May. Yep, we're on schedule pretty, right now, to get everything done before the Memorial Day. And that is it.
Council President, similar question, Director, with the Safe Streets for All, which is a good thing that we're going to have this researched and professionally studied. Is there a timeline in which they're going to come back with a recommendation to us as a governing body in terms of areas of concern for traffic safety?
Yeah, well, I guess we may have several meetings with them before we finalize everything.
Okay.
Like the action plan, it'll be probably a couple phases with the action plan to get everything done. Come before us, bringing everything to you over the presentation, in addition to getting community involvement with everything too. So it's a couple steps before we get to that spot where we can say we're going to move to the next phase. But this is a large phase. This phase covers up to $400,000 of action plan, up to. And then we have a $100,000 match, 20% of this grant. In addition, once this is done, then there's another phase. And this is all coordinated with the Federal Highway Administration, so we have to follow all rules and regulations with them as we go along.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Yes, Council President.
Yes.
On the 123-25, will there be a separate plan for pedestrian safety?
That's all part of this whole package, pedestrian safety, crash data, any type of street widening, everything. It's going to cover every piece of legislation you can think of as it relates to traffic, pedestrians, everything. Yes,
Okay, sidewalks as well?
everything.
All right, thank you.
Crosswalks, et cetera, everything, yes.
Okay. Do we have a consensus to add these items to the voting meeting?
Yes.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any oppositions or abstentions? Okay, these shall be added to the voting meeting. All right, the Department of Economic Development. Director?
Good evening, Council.
Good evening.
So we are looking at resolutions 124 through 140. So the first resolution is related to a lease agreement between where they're going to be trained in anything from carpentry, electrical, plumbing, and so forth. There's also going to be a lumber yard. So they're going to be employed as they're getting trained. We've set up where when we have our pre-construction meetings with our developers, we're going to invite these individuals so they'll have an opportunity to work on the development contracts anywhere from looking at demo on to construction and completion. This is a 75-year lease. It is a $1 lease. We can pick anywhere in terms of a duration between 1 year and 99 years before it becomes a sale. So we are at the 75-year mark looking at this. This is looking for what the city gets back is that we're actually preparing our workforce and we're preparing job opportunities for the city. It's about a 26,000 square foot building that's going to be renovated at the cost of the general contractor. In terms of the utilities and insurance, they'll be responsible for that. This workforce development model, it's certified by the U.S. Department of Labor as well as the New Jersey Department of Labor, and the intent is only for Plainfield residents. It will focus on ages mainly from 16 to 24. The next resolution is looking at, two resolutions, I should say, looking at to qualify our owner's representative and cost estimator. This is for the Center of Excellence. So for the Center of Excellence, right now, we are wrapping up our design phase. The cost estimator or the owner rep really represents the city's interest from going from concept on through construction. That means that they will serve as our project manager or our lead for anything related to design or construction contracts. They have a background in construction. They have a background in financial analytics. This particular contractor is Dragonfly Investment Group. They have represented Bloomfield, Livingston, Bergen County, as well as Hackensack Medical as a owner's rep and a cost estimator. So we are proposing to award a contract not to exceed $150,000. Looking at items that are related 127 going down through 129. These are related to professional contracts for the Center of Excellence. Right now, for the Center of Excellence, we have an estimate of looking at the construction costs of about $40 million. We can expect that the cost for our professional services, where when we talk about our professional services, that includes our owner's rep, that includes our architect, that includes our engineers, those, as well as our environmental services. Those are estimated to come in once we're complete at about 10%, which will be about $4 million. What you see in front of you going forward is not the entire $4 million, it's the grants that we've had so far. So far we've presented that we've been awarded grants from ARPA, we've been awarded grants from the Department of Community Affairs that are related to development, related to recreation. We are also continuing to go after more grants to make sure that we're able to pay for our professional services as well as our construction. So looking at item 127 through 120-125, that's for our architect. Our architect is on board, also a MBE, a minority-owned business with a long-time representation in Plainfield in construction. He has an office in Newark. He also has an office in Harlem. This is looking for the contract that covers going through from design through construction. Also, we have our historical services that are going to be led under here too. Again, what we're looking for the Center of Excellence, this is a 55,000 square foot recreation and cultural enrichment center. This is going to include a competition pool, a basketball court, multi-purpose space, art studios, classrooms, as well as event spaces. Then what we have for 128-25, that's for Remington Vernick. They are going to serve as our mechanical, electrical, and plumbing engineers. This is expanding a contract with them where they started just to give us a concept. Now we're refining down for the schematic design, going on to design development, and up until 30%. So this is for those services. The same thing with CME. They're going to be our structural engineers. So what they're going to look at is looking at the concept, looking at the schematic design, and going forward. Again, in total, we expect that the professional services are going to come up to about $4 million. Right now, we're a little under 2 for what we're looking at. 130-25, looking at 131-25. This is related to our market analysis retail recruitment services. So with this services, what we want to do is develop a targeted retail trade study. So that's really looking at what retail we want to attract to the area, what type of stores. Then we're going to also get an online retail trade dashboard, and this will allow us to interact with potential retailers, something like LinkedIn, where they can see the profile of our city. They can see if they have an interest in our areas, whether we're talking about restaurants, whether we're talking about different services, or looking at products. They will also help us with site identification, so looking at the different mixed-use areas that are around. They'll develop a retail site profile. With the retail site profiles, it'll profile an area, for example, and say, well, this is the amount of acreage you have, this is the potential building square footage there, this is the type of foot traffic you get, this is the type of through traffic. They'll do a highest and best use analysis. They'll identify the different categories, whether we're talking about healthcare, which we've already seen while we're going after urgent care. They'll look at if we could get another hardware store, for example, florists, what type of restaurants, what type of restaurant groups to go after. They'll also help us with a retail plan and actually do outreach to retail brokers. This particular vendor has served in over 850 communities and 41 states. We've met and interacted with this retail recruiter at a previous conference. It was the Innovation Commerce Serving Communities Conference. They are also endorsed by the National League of Cities. They are also endorsed by the Main Street America and International Economic Development Council. And we are looking to award the retail coach for a total of $40,000. We received, I believe, 4 different vendor submissions. They came in at the lowest bid with the highest reputation. Looking at R-132-25, this is to qualify, and then the next resolution, 133, is to award Barton Ross as our historic preservation professional. This is for architecture. It's not to exceed $23,500. Typically, what we've seen in terms of the total, this is just rehiring for an ongoing contract. This is closer to the amount that we're typically billed. In the past, it's been about a little over $22,000, but we're still billed at $23,000. So this is closer to what we're billed. Then the next one, the 134, this is for the environmental consultant for the brownfields. This is to award for Lewis Consulting, also rehiring for $10,000. R-136, this is to look at a non-condemnation redevelopment study for 817 West 7th Street and for 736 to 746 Grant Avenue. 137-25, this is to designate the Jerusalem Lodge, or also known as the Freemasons. This is for them to renovate their existing building. This is a historic building that will be rehabbed. They actually have a historic grant to work on it. This is a 4-story existing building. What they want to rehab is their banquet hall space. They also have several community spaces in there. This is a civic organization. Resolution 138-25, I am asking to be removed from the agenda. The reason to remove it from the agenda is that this is Center of Excellence. As I mentioned before, we're going after several grants. Another grant became available last week. We are making sure that we are eligible to take advantage of that grant. R-139-25, this is looking at 520 to 532 South Avenue. This is to designate the developer Equimax Development Company to build 14 affordable townhomes for sale. This will look at the townhomes on our property. The city will enter into a public-private partnership where instead of seeing all of our proceeds, we are going to ask the developer to place a portion of the proceeds into a down payment assistance fund. That down payment assistance fund will be at least $230,000, which will allow each of the Plainfield residents to be eligible for $30,000, at least $30,000 in down payment assistance. We expect the price point of these units to be between $450,000 to $490,000. What this means is that this will be a deed restricted property, where the deed restriction will be in terms of income. The household will have to be between 150 and 250 to be eligible. To be eligible for the down payment assistance, they will have to provide proof of Plainfield residence for at least the last year. And they will also be receiving a pilot. The pilot will be the restriction or the duration of at least anywhere between 5 to 10 years. They will not be allowed to flip the property during that time. The next resolution is 139-25. This is to designate Plainfield Homes LLC. This is a combination of two developers that have done work in Plainfield, TD Plus Partners, as well as Gonsosa. The Gonsosa group, they typically build homes and have gone through our zoning board for them. So they have experience in building single-family and two-family and three-family homes. With this project, what we're looking for is the city owns a total of 7 properties that are listed. 608 West 4th Street, this is in the 4th Ward. 937 West 3rd Street, also in the 4th Ward. 1147 South 2nd Street in the 4th Ward. 45 Brokaw Boulevard in the 4th Ward, 121 Liberty Street, also in the 4th Ward. And it should be, I'm noting for the record, we have a typo where it says Block 502, then Lot 13, it should say Lot 10. Block 502, Lot 10. The address should be 659 West 4th Street. That is in the 3rd Ward. Also in the 3rd Ward, 1261 to 1263 Arlington Avenue. These will be 6 single-family homes for sale and 1 two-family home for sale. They range in size right now, estimated between about 1,800 square feet on up to close to 3,000 square feet. The price point of the single family and then the 1 two-family homes, they're going to range between $500,000 and $650,000. These are modern, new construction. Most of these buildings, most of these homes will be 4 bedrooms. Also, again, these will be deed restricted. The restriction will be that the income between 150 and 250. We will provide a down payment assistance. There, again, will be at least $30,000 available for Plainfield residents for down payment assistance. They will also receive a pilot, and the pilot could be anywhere between 5 or 10 years. Okay, thank you.
Okay, questions?
Yes, Council President. Going back to R 124-25, what does the timeline of construction look like from beginning to end
For the lease agreement,
for the construction for the Workforce Development Cooperative?
Sure. So they're planning to start in the spring for that. It's estimated that they're going to rehab the building in pieces, so it will be, some of the building will be open and up and running within 3 months.
Right, and so I guess picturing the end of the project, I'm just trying to determine how much experience the participants will actually have to place on their resume. Will it be a couple of months, or will it be a couple of years? Will it be 1 year?
So when I say rehab the building, they're going to stay open for, that's just not the experience that they're going to get.
Sure, okay.
That's to get the building open as basically a living classroom. But in terms of their experience, they could have anywhere from a year or whatever the certification to the trade that they're going for. So if they're going for carpentry, it's a certain amount of time, electrician, plumber, so on.
Nice, nice. I like this. Moving forward to R131-25. With that study, I'm assuming that's also going to include properties in the Special Improvement District?
Yes. So it includes all the special improvement districts. It includes the central business district, anywhere where we have identified as commercial.
Sure.
So the special improvement district, they were a part of our first market analysis study as a part of the stakeholder committee, and they will continue to do so.
Will there be any community input regarding these reports?
So we have certain outreach meetings planned, particularly we have our urban enterprise zone plan where we're looking to have input on a strategic plan on February 18th, and that's going to be at the senior center.
All right, and finally, once these reports are completed, who's responsible for the execution?
So part of it will, of course, be led by the administration, and then we can choose to bring on consultant support.
All right, so I want to move forward to R140-25. The deed restrictions, how long are they for?
So the deed restrictions are going to be for the duration of the pilot. So they're going to range anywhere between 5 to 10 years.
Okay, and once the deed restriction is no longer in existence, the homeowner can sell the property for whatever they want, market rate. All right, thank you. Those are all the questions I have, Council President. Thank you.
Okay. Councilman Wyatt?
You was guessing?
No, it's not a guess.
All right, so the R124-25, this is an excellent program. I was able to meet some of the brothers that put this together, but I asked, is this another opportunity, or did we connect or talk to the school district, because they are building out their CTE pathways, which is the career and technical education. So this can create a partnership between the Plainfield Public School District and the city while they're building out the pathways right now. So this can be create a pipeline for the students to go right into this program. Did we?
Sure. Well, with anything, we have a partnership. So when we're looking at workforce development, and we've mentioned this to the school board with something with our advanced manufacturing, which this is in our advanced manufacturing redevelopment plan. We've mentioned that they can be a part of it, just like we've mentioned with other organizations such as Vision Pathways, which is an organization that fosters on foster care children, as well as reentry citizens on giving them workforce development. So what we're doing is creating a venue where we've also spoken to the general contractors that we do and plan to incorporate other organizations.
Okay. And was it the townhomes on South Avenue? Just give me 1 second. Can you just tell me, or just repeat for clarification again? So you said it was 150 to 250 would be the income, the household income, and that would qualify you for $30,000. Can you just repeat that part for me?
Sure.
Again?
So the income restriction is 150 to 250,000. Then what the city is going to do is we're putting in our land. So instead of receiving proceeds from our land, we're going to take a portion of that and put it into a down payment assistance fund that is only eligible for Plainfield residents.
Okay. So, for clarification again, 150 to 250 is what the income that you have to make in order to be able to take advantage of the $30,000 down payment?
No. So 150 to 250 is what's going to make you eligible to be able to purchase the homes, which the price points are going to be between 450 and 490,000.
Okay, thank you.
That's household income, right? Total
Yes.
household income. Any, Councilwoman Cherry?
Yes, just one question. The Plainfield Workforce Development Cooperative, I couldn't find any information about them online. Could you tell me a little about them? Are they a nonprofit, for-profit?
So the name is something that we placed on in the Plainfield Workforce Development Cooperative. The three organizations that are listed, which are Building Bridges, they're located in Newark right now and coming to Plainfield. Then the second one is Linmar, general contractor, general construction company. Then we also have Sankofa Construction.
Thank you.
Right ahead, Council Vice President.
Yes. Regarding 124 -25 and the training program, I agree that these are great CTE opportunities for that age range of 16 to 23, but my question is, having a 16-year-old going on 40, that's not the career path that they tend to be looking at. So is there a way that this opportunity can be expanded, perhaps those of a different age bracket, so that they too can get that training and become a valuable asset to the growth and development of our city? Or are we limited based on any federal, state regulations that this training program has to be for this age group?
So we're not limited in terms of funding what's received from the New Jersey Department of Labor, and for the U.S. Department of Labor, that's the age group that they're emphasizing. But if you're 40, 50-year-old, you're going to be able to take advantage of this opportunity.
That's great. I'm sorry, let me just. I'm sorry, I'm going to pass. I don't want to belabor the time.
Okay, anyone else?
Council President,
Yes.
can we have the changes to 140-25 repeated so that we can move it forward to the regular meeting without having to amend?
Sure. Director, can you reemphasize those changes?
Oh, thank you. Okay. 140-25, looking at where it says Block 502, Lot 13, it should say Lot 10. The address should read as 659 West 4th Street.
Received.
Got it? Okay. Okay. All right, very active department. We have a lot going on in Plainfield, and this is just one indication of that. What heartens me the most out of all of these is the opportunity to build out our capacity with our own residents. With so much development happening around Plainfield, there's commonly a sentiment that Plainfield residents want to be included in the prosperity, the building, and this workforce development is a step, a meaningful step in making sure that those opportunities are available. So, is there any particular information that we could give to people that may be listening in order to take the next step into figuring out how they get involved in the program?
Sure. So I believe some of our partners are here tonight. So you're going to hear from Sankofa once we have a opportunity for general comment. We have the ribbon cutting and we open up the Workforce Development Center, we're going to make it available. It should come in about the time where last year we had a construction job fair, and this is where we thought about these partnerships. We're also going to offer that again and offer the details of the curriculum and the jobs that are going to be available about that time. So I'm looking about May to have further details.
Okay, thank you.
Council President, I did have a question regarding that development. Will that be open for charter and public school students?
It would be open for any students looking for vocational development, yes.
And is there a cost associated?
Not as of now, but this is training for jobs. But I want to wait and talk to the partners about this because this is their wheelhouse.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would hope that if we're offering it as a training opportunity for Plainfield residents, that the cost be nominal, if not at all. We want to employ and train as many of our residents and make them a part of the solution. So I would hope that that would be referenced at the discussions.
Okay. Okay.
One more question. You brought up the career fair. What, I forgot what month that was. That was recently, right?
We had a construction job fair.
Yes, that one.
It was at the Plainfield Public Library.
Yes. Were we able to get the data on that to see how many people actually received jobs?
So we're working on that, so we'll go back to you. Because we had some developers that signed on for that, but I need to reach out to all of our developers to get those numbers.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right, so do we have consensus to add these items to the voting meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
With the exception
Excuse me, I have a
of- sorry.
question.
You have a question?
Yes.
Okay, go right ahead.
R140-25. One of the addresses is extremely close to my house. The 608 West 4th Street. What's the approximate size on that lot? Because that 608 is a pretty small lot unless you're talking about the corner property that's been boarded up and sliced up and all that other good stuff. The 608.
So all of the properties range, if it's single family, I believe it's just over 2,500 square feet.
Okay, was that with that parking lot though? That's that whole parking lot? Because there's a parking lot, that used to be the old Mr. Max, right next to it. And,
I have it down as a vacant green space, but I'm
Okay.
looking it up right now.
okay, I'm almost positive this is what you're talking, I just wanted to know about the size because it looks like it's pretty small.
So
Sauce property.
when we present to you the designation, it'll identify the
Okay,
sizes.
all right, thank you. And I was going to ask also as well, when you were talking about the training and attracting the children, and that's something I guess the company can ask also, will the wages be very competitive?
So they'll be based on the construction market. So depending on when they get their job with a developer or as a carpenter, it's very competitive.
Okay, good.
I mean, the trades, they can make easily six-figure salaries.
Okay. I just, if, depending on the age, I don't want them to be lowballed either. I just want to make sure that they're
We
gonna be
won't
fair.
set the salaries.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay.
One more question, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. No, it's no problem. It's what we're here for.
139-25, what is the median salary in Plainfield? I know we talked about that before.
The median income,
Salary.
73,000.
73,000,
Mm-hmm.
okay.
Okay. So I asked for consensus. I heard that there were some items that we would wish to remove. Can you state those items? Are there any items that we wish to remove?
May I
Nathan?
state again,
Yeah.
Council President, that I asked to have remove item 138-25.
Okay.
And
So that
139-25 as well.
from the consent agenda?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll vote on that separately. Okay, all other items, do we have consensus?
Yes.
Okay, besides 138 and 139, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition or abstentions? Okay, those shall be added to the voting meeting with the exceptions noted. Okay, the Department of Health and Social Services. Good evening, Director.
Good evening, Council President. I have 3 resolutions for this evening. The first two, 14125 and 14225, speak to the advocacy of the department. I'll talk to the first one. Our division directors and I are deeply concerned about the federal cuts to essential services for not only residents of our community, but residents or individuals of this country that need these services. And that may include SNAP, Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security, WIC, all those programs that allow people to have healthy lives and to lead prosperous lives may be cut, and these are essential to the well-being of all residents, particularly of Plainfield. So we are deeply concerned about that, and we certainly want to lift those up to all ears who hear that and who can also support and speak on our behalf, because we certainly need it. And I think that it also impacts nonprofits who do the yeoman's work of food pantries and providing services in addition to what the city does. And so we are, and I won't just say me, we are deeply concerned about what is happening. 14225, we have done something like this before, but we are talking about things that are happening in our environment that speak to racism as a public health crisis and concern, and as well as systemic discrimination and hate groups. We certainly are seeing a rise in those numbers, and indeed, when you are living under those stressors, it has an impact on your body and your health. So if you are living under stress, it impacts whether you have diabetes and hypertension. Often communities of color, those things manifest earlier, particularly because of the levels of stress that those communities are necessarily under. When we see the rise of hate groups, that contributes to individuals feeling just a sense of being uncomfortable. When we hear families being separated, when we hear of families concerned about whether they're going to be deported, all of these things contribute to what is called stress or wandering, which is kind of a DNA, a genetic change to your system. Most people think it's just hypertension or something, but it could be a possible genetic change to your system, and it's generational. So we are my department and my division heads and some of our employees are deeply concerned about those things, and we lift that up because it's important that. Well, first off, it is something that this administration has stood on. We are not scared of being courageous in times of purported fear, and so we stand up against things that are wrong, and we seek out justice when we need to. And that's what 14125 and 14225 stand to. I hope that each and everyone takes an opportunity to read those, because it talks also about the impact on our city and how that can impact not only our city, but nonprofits as well. So I ask that you read those as well. 14325 is a resolution for the mayor to engage with a contract with Title Shot LLC. It's our animal control services in an amount not to exceed $168,000. And it's from January 1st, 2025 to December 31st, 2025. Are there any questions?
Any questions?
Council President, I have a few questions. Director, well, first of all, let me acknowledge you uplifting racism as a health crisis, and I appreciate and want to acknowledge the city of Plainfield for being a voice about the systemic racism that many folks have to endure each and every day, and it is in fact a health crisis. We have many people right now living in fear, and we're seeing the impact on them from a medical perspective. I, as a mental health clinician, also see it from them as a mental health response, whereas many African-American folks are the least likely to participate in therapy because of stigma around counseling. So I want to applaud our city for calling it out, as we should be, and everybody, not only in this city, in America, should be calling it out. So thank you, administration, for that. But I want to ask you about, you know what I'm going to ask you about, because I get those phone calls about title shots.
I hope I can answer your questions.
You know, for some reason, people think I'm a cat lover. I'm actually allergic and don't like cats. But can you just share with me or with the public some data on title shots in terms of what they've done relative to serving our community? How many animals were they able to reunite with the families, how many did they take in for the year? Because these are the type of questions that I get the emails for, so I'd appreciate that.
So I did receive a series of questions. I'm just going to read the questions and answer the question. I think that's the best way to do it. Does $14,000 a month represent an increase in cost? Yes. If so, what is the justification for the rise? The dog food increase has increased by 5% from $38 to $40 weekly. The disposal of roadkill has increased 4%, and roadkill is animals that are hit by cars along the road and we have to pick them up. Euthanization has increased from 165 to 200. Vet bills have increased due to dogs being adopted and must be up to date with the vaccination. So we are responsible for that before they leave the pound. How many employees does Title Shot have? Title Shot has 2 full-time employees that are ACO certified. What is the total number of dogs taken in fiscal year 2024? That's 133. For the same year, 22 cats. How many of these pets returned to their owner? The total number returned was 81 of dogs. The total number of cats was 3. About 5% were microchipped. What is the average length of stay? The average length of stay is 15 days. When was the last time a representative from the city of Plainfield conducted an unannounced visit to the facility? A council member was there in September, and the ACO, William, I guess I could say his name, goes there frequently. In the last 3 rabies and microchip clinics, we vaccinated 254 animals and microchip 36, and our 4th is coming on February 22nd. We do not offer neutering and spraying services at our clinics, and that's something we're looking into. And I think those were the bulk of the questions that I received.
Thank you, Director.
You're welcome.
Any other council colleagues who wish to ask questions?
I do. For R 143-25, were there any comparable vendors that stepped up to the plate to see if they could do the job?
None. And we have been asking for people to step up for the last 2 years since the original challenge to the city, and none have stepped up. This is actually the only game in town.
Thank you for that.
Any others?
Yes, are you, sorry, Council President.
No, go ahead.
Through the chair, no problem. Did we update the address? Because I did receive phone calls saying that they heard that they moved, and I still see that we have on the paperwork is 173 Route 46 in West Rockaway. I tried to reach out to, I believe his name is Todd, but I didn't get him on the phone, so I just wanted to know if you knew that they had a new address, or is this a typo? Did we not update it, or are you familiar with that at all?
This is the business address that we received, and that's the one we're working under with the vendor. If they are going to introduce a new address, we'll certainly come before. We've done that before.
Okay.
When we received a new address, we come before council and update them with the new address. That's not a problem. But what's on the vendor invoice and everything is this address.
Okay, all right, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, do we have consensus to add these items to the voting meeting?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, any opposition or abstentions? Okay, thou shall be added. The Department of Communications and Technology, please proceed.
Thank you. Good evening, Council President and councilors. I have 3 items for your consideration this evening. Our 14425 is a resolution authorizing the City of Plainfield to enter into a grant-funded service agreement with JCT Solutions to complete Phase 2 of the Broadband Initiative for an amount not to exceed 2.3 and some change. Resolution authorizing the City of Plainfield to pay an annual service fee for fasttrack.gov in the amount of $60,000, and a resolution authorizing the City of Plainfield to renew the service agreement with Sysnet Solutions to provide IT services to the city for an amount not to exceed $155,000. Are there any questions?
Questions from colleagues, please.
Yes, just have one question on 144-25. Can you just, for public knowledge, just articulate the expectation as to the speed of internet services or Wi-Fi that the residents?
The speed?
Yes. For the broadband?
Yeah. I don't have the exact, like I can't say, it's not going to be 5G.
Right.
Right?
I guess.
It's going to be able, it's going to allow them to access basic services
Right.
like emails. It's not for streaming.
Mm-hmm.
It's for, performing, they can For children, they can do their schoolwork, they'll be able to do their schoolwork. For adults, if they need to work, they can access those things, but it's not gonna be 5G,
Right.
like high speed.
And that's
It's
the,
gonna be basic internet services.
and that's what I wanted to make clear, because most of us have internet on our phones, and so, yeah, it's not, it won't support streaming, but it will support basic functions.
Basic
for
functions.
broadband, yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. Mhm.
Director Hunt, could you remind us what happened, what occurred in Phase 1?
Sure.
Thank you.
In phase one, what was happening is that the fiber was being laid, and the fiber was coiled at all the access, at all the areas where we were going to have like Wi-Fi and so on. Phase two, we'll just be connecting that fiber, activating the Wi-Fi, and installing cameras also in those parks and the other public areas that are designated.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Other questions? Okay. Do we need any clarifications regarding speed or from the floor? I know we have representatives here, but
Yeah.
no obligation to speak, but if you want to clarify, it's up to you. Good evening.
The Wi-Fi will be very fast, very robust. In a given park, we will be installing between 6 and 10 Wi-Fi access points. Each access point can accommodate 500 users. This will be very fast Wi-Fi, and whether it can stream or not is up to you. There will be a firewall, and we can configure the firewall any way you'd like. I prefer you put content filters on it. But firewall comes with content filters. We can configure it to deny or allow anything you so choose. One particular project we did, Livingston Library, recently, the library board of directors had me make it completely open. No restrictions. I'm a devout Catholic, it kind of bothered me, but we did it because that's what the governing body instructed us to do. So it's your service. We're here to install it, implement it. It will be very fast Wi-Fi, very robust Wi-Fi.
Okay.
If you would like it to stream, it can stream. If you want us to block streaming, we can.
Understood.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Council President?
Yes.
Just a quick question. A question was raised asking who will have access to the data. Can you answer that question? Okay. Through the chair, it's okay.
Sure.
The only data that will be captured and stored is the video. And that'll be answered by stored by the director. The Wi-Fi will not be recorded and stored.
You mean video from video cameras?
Correct. Yep, from the video surveillance system, yes. That will be recorded and stored in the data center and police headquarters.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other council colleagues wish to ask questions? Okay, do we have a consensus to add these to the voting meeting?
Yes.
Okay, any oppositions? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition or abstentions? Okay, those shall be added to the voting meeting. We now move to ordinances on first reading. Would the BA present that item? Your items.
Thank you, Council President. We have 5 ordinances up for first reading this evening. The first is an opt-in ordinance into the Garden State Commercial Property Assessed Clean Energy Program. By law, we have to have an opt-in ordinance to participate. The second ordinance is adopting the Myrtle Ave redevelopment plan. This was voted on by the Planning Board at their January 16th meeting. The third ordinance is a tax exemption in regards to Block 218 lots, well, I'll just say the address if it's here, 25 Clinton Ave, 21 Clinton Ave, and 1314-20 West Front Street. And this is their financial agreement with 1314 West Front Street Urban Renewal. This is going to be 84 units, 9 of which are affordable workforce housing, 1,319 retail square feet, and 97 parking spots. Fourth, you have an ordinance enacting amendments to the TODD South redevelopment plan. This is to add 250 affordable housing units into that plan. And finally, you have an ordinance amending the chapter for the schedule of fees. This is to introduce fees to the Lenny Cathcart House Music Festival. As you know, that's a very well-attended event, and it's largely paid for by the city budget. And so it's a new event, and we're looking to start charging $100 for vendors who come and sell products at the music festival. They can get usually they do very well at that festival because it's so well attended. And so we think it's only fair that the city, get some revenue for that.
Okay, thank you. Okay, questions from council colleagues regarding those items?
Yeah, for the parking that has 84 and 9 workforce, how many parking spots? Did you say 94? I said 97. 97, thank you.
Okay, Council Vice President?
Yes, regarding the fees for the House Music Festival, why the option to project out over the next 5 years?
Well, I'll just say that we didn't want to, we're coming from zero, so we wanted to slowly go into what we're ultimately going to charge after 5 years. So it was just to phase it in.
I have to honestly say I'm concerned about those fees. I think that they're going to be cost prohibited for small businesses who are selling T-shirts and other small trinkets. So that concerns me in terms of the amount of money that we're looking to charge.
Yeah, I'll say, like I said earlier, this is a city-funded event, and so, anytime we can recoup some of the cost back into the budget. I know that people who were there did very well, and I think we have some comparative data. Director Brown, if you could give for what some other municipalities are charging.
So there's a couple of things. Now, it's not just the fees, it's also we're codifying what's happening with the event in this ordinance, which didn't exist before because it's such a large event. So really the vision and the goal for this event, not just the fees, but is also to say this is a responsibility of the vendor and this is a responsibility of the city. And so what is the best practices? We did look at other cities when it came to what they were charging. Trenton, Asbury Park, Waquay Park, Linden. We looked at, I never could pronounce this word, Wanaco, which is a county park. And we look at
Warnaco.
I already said I could pronounce it right.
Mm-hmm. Roselle, too.
And Waquay Park. Waquay Park, sorry. And so we looked at those house, and Huawei, and we looked at those house music. Some of them go from $100 to $800 a night. I know that Lincoln Park is $1,500. Initially, when we started this project 6 years ago, it was free, and it was to be an incubator for small businesses to develop into, have an opportunity to sell their products. We removed the barriers other than what was required for food vendors so that they can be there. I think that the fee and why we did it, as the BA said, in the 5-year cycle, is that it gives small businesses the opportunity to plan at its core. So they know for the next 5 years what they have to plan for. And if you're going to go from a small business to a large business, you should be able to plan. $100 is a nominal fee, and it's only increased by 10, and that's for non-vendors. And for food vendors, it starts at $250, and in the following years, it's 10%. And I can comfortably say, if we look at food vendors, they make significant amount of money. And they work for it, though. It's not that they don't work for it. And so do our vendors. And at the end of the day, I think that we put forward a reasonable ordinance. We did not do this out of context. We did speak to about 20 of the vendors to see where they stood. And initially, they weren't too happy, I'm not going to say that. But when we explained the situation, they accepted it, and they thought that this was a moderate fee.
And, Council President, if I were to add, this is not a money-making
Not at all.
event for the city. It costs the city a significant amount of money. So this merely defrays the costs to the taxpayers. And so we believe it's a reasonable amount to ask the vendors to contribute based on, the cost that we've been incurring. Over the years, and it gets bigger, it's going to cost us more each and every year.
Director Brown, with the same ordinance, why is the insurance $1 million per occurrence and $2 million for aggregate? Why so high? Or is that the average?
Yeah, that's what we always did. That's not a new thing. We spoke to our Department of Finance, and this is what they require when they reach out to, when they include us on their insured, that's insured, this is what the numbers have to be. So this is not, we didn't create this. This is our practice.
Okay, thank you.
Any others?
Yes. MC 2025-10. Can you let me know what the rents will be?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes, sure. So they are going to range from, hold on, I'm just opening up the memo. They're going to range from 2031 on up until 2207.
And what's the separation between the two? 2031 and you said what was the other number?
So let me just go through it. So for the studio market rate unit, it's going to be 2031. For the workforce housing unit, it's also going to be 2031. For the one bedroom market rate, it's going to be 2380. For the one bedroom workforce, it's going to be 2207.
Do we talk to our community and understand that our people are hurting? Like, who really can afford this in the city of Plainfield? Like, what data do we have to say that we're going to keep building apartments and charge for a studio $2,031 and a one bedroom $2,380? And some of these, that's affordable as well?
So these are market rate, and just to go over again, so the 2380 is for market rate, understanding that you're asking about the 2031. So just to clarify the definition of what we look at as affordable, it's based on the area median income, where we look at anywhere from 30% to 120% AMI. So if we look at a studio, it's going to range 30%, it's going to be 600. 50% is going to be 1,000. 60 is going to be 1,300. 80 is going to be 1,600. 100% is going to be 1,700. And then we can go up and still consider it to be affordable for workforce studio as 2,060. And that is based on our area median income.
Okay, so do we do surveys? Do we collect data that says, okay, this is the type of, you do?
So it's not surveys. The data that we collect is based on the census. And then how we're calculating it is based on how we're advised by the state to look at the area median income and the percentages. So we don't collect surveys.
Okay, so for me, it was just troubling to read this and look at these prices. And when I'm out talking to people in the community, our people are hurting. Everybody's hurting. On the federal level, they're afraid of the executive orders that's being written, cutting programs. And here we are on the local level, and we are building more apartments for studios at $2,031. I had a young man just tell me, he was 28 years old, he had a decent job, and he said, I cannot afford this. What are our people supposed to do that live here in the city of Plainfield? I understand that we have to think about the future and we want people to move to Plainfield, but what do we have here and what are we doing here for the people that live in Plainfield who want better, who wants quality living, and tired of seeing the blight? What are we doing for them?
So in terms of affordable housing, we are looking at affordable housing that are ranging on the lower end. So that's going all the way down to the 30% and also looking at the 60% and the 80% mark. What we're doing with that is that we're working with developers that have experience going after Aspire funding. So to ask for it to be at the lower mark where it's not at the 2,000 mark, they have to be qualified developers to get Aspire and low-income housing tax credits from the Department of New Jersey Department of, New Jersey Economic Development Administration. So when we're looking at that, we're working closely with that, taking advantage of these grants. We're partnering with developers. That's why we're looking at, right now, to date, we're close to looking at 800 affordable units that we have under contract. To be clear, it's not just looking at the low to moderate end, it is also looking at some workforce, and we can talk about that. But the 250 units that are 100% affordable, that's between the 30 to 60% AMI. When we're looking at those senior units, the 120 units that we have there, that's 100% affordable. That's looking to the 30 to 60% AMI. It is not going to be at the 2,000 mark. We have to work with developers that have experience in building these quality affordable housing.
Okay, and the next one, MC 2025-12. So I understand that this is an event that's put on by the city, but we all say, and as maybe it's just a buzzword for some, that small businesses are the backbone in this nation. So if we have businesses, why can't Plainfield be the model city and say we support our small businesses and our vendors and we're trying to help them become successful? So I just disagree with these prices as well, passing them on to people who are trying to make money and have small businesses here in our city. I don't need a comment for that. Thank you.
Director Fields? Council President. So I know that the administration set a goal for, I believe, 1,000 affordable units, right? Where are we with that number?
We are at 871.
Thank you. And then for the House Music Festival, what percentage of small businesses are Plainfield versus external from out of our city that vend? So if we have 100 vendors how many are from Plainfield?
You know, I'm going to have to get that analysis back to you because I'm going to look at that because we have about 50 vendors there on that given day. So let me get that number for you. That's an easy one for us to find. And I apologize, I don't have it for you today.
No worries. Thank you,
Okay.
Director Brown.
Anybody else? Any other council colleagues? No, but I understand your question. I mean, if we're looking out for Plainfield business owners, we want to be sure that they're actually from our town. Because I know there's a significant amount of vendors that are from out of town. And
Correct.
we do want to make sure that they're pouring into our city in that
Exactly.
manner.
And
Right.
that was the point. I mean, I see a lot of the vendors are outside of the city, 'cause I know a lot of the vendors. There was just a handful that were city, that lived in the city.
Right.
But I'd like to have that information available. Thank you.
Right. Yep. Okay. So, let's see. Well, do we have a consensus to add these items to the voting meeting?
Yes.
Yes. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Or abstentions? Hearing none, these are added to the voting meeting. Okay, we will recess for 5 minutes. Will the council meet at the microphone? We're going to just take some pictures. But we'll recess for 5 minutes and go into the voting meeting afterwards.
Recording stopped. Recording in progress.
Okay, we'll move on to public comments limited to resolutions and motions being considered this evening. Total of 30 minutes shall be allocated for such purpose. Each speaker will be given 3 minutes. The floor is open. Please give your name, address, and the resolution or motion that you're speaking regarding. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Jeff Spellman. I live at 1151 Gresham Road. I'm talking about Resolution 110-25, which was a tribute to Albert Pittis. And I had quite the fortune. It was my joy to spend a lot of time with Albert. He came down to my coffee shop often. We talked about the Caroline Bells. We talked about his history. I had the opportunity last year to do a video interview, which I'm happy to share with people. And he talked about walking in the 1930s from Front Street up to the church to go to church. I wanted to thank Mayor Mapp, Director Stabney, and Fields for the help in this last few days, because we knew that the family wanted to drive the hearse by Grace Church and other places in Plainfield. And it's only in the last few days after Albert's passing that we learned that the Caroline Bells had been removed from Grace Church. For those who don't know, a carillon is a tower full of their 47 bells. They were originally installed over 100 years ago. It was Albert's uncle who figured out how to get them from England and faced tariffs and all these different things. And then later in the 60s and 70s, Albert, with his two now deceased older twin brothers, figured out how to engineer and double the size of the instrument over time. In talking to the family, it was almost like feeling a second death. We were expecting Albert lived a good long life, and we thought that the carillon would be his legacy going forward. We've learned just in the last day, with the help of Director Fields, that the bells were sold to the Church Services Group, which is basically asset recovery, salvage of, in my words, a church chop shop that's buying assets of old churches. And so the chances of this going someplace as a carillon, if it was going to a university or another church or being played, it'd still be sad, but it would at least go on. And so I guess my point in just bringing these, I think for public record, it's important that we understand this. And generally, I've been very supportive of all the development that's happened in Plainfield over these years. And I think we're all happy to see an old, dilapidated warehouse get knocked down and replaced with the beautiful new things. But in the case of a historic Church of Grace, I think we let this one get by us. And we tried every different meeting, many different steps. We've all been involved in the redevelopment studies, the planning boards. The bodies have had this multiple different times. At many different times, there are places to take stronger preservation aspects for Grace Church. When we, a nice little merry band, sorry, it's that time.
You can come back at general public comment and finish. You'll have another 3 minutes.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Point of order, can we speak on motion to table at this moment?
Can, sure?
Yes. Yes, you can.
Yes.
Sal Carano, 1284 East Front Street. Thank you for the opportunity to address 2025-01. In my view, stabilized rents, rent control, the opposite of rent control is out of control. And I'm trying to grasp, and I'm in the business, I'm trying to understand why a body would pull, or the administration would pull this to try to protect its people sooner. Its people are, I personally know, and this may not even be addressed in anybody's ideas of rent stabilization or rent control. But the commercial aspect of this town is totally out of control. I personally have an attorney who's a client whose rent went up $1,100 a month. It went up 11. He's now paying over $4,000 a month. It's obscene. Why would we not want to have some form of control when a person's salary didn't go up that much? I would love to have my salary go up that much. I'm sure some of you would love your salary to go up that much. So why? I'm hoping, because I'm going to bang the hell out of this microphone if it's not. I'm hoping this gets inserted at a future council meeting because they recognize there are more things we need to do to protect the public. Thank you. I'm sorry, I may have time. Mr. Cohen, I'm hoping it's time, 11125. The puppy mill, please, thank you for putting it in this form. Thank you for presenting it. Thank you for moving it forward. If it is, if you can, we need that protection as well. And lastly, it was mentioned, and forgive me, I forgot the resolution, but it was mentioned that there is a pilot, there is a 5 or a 10-year restricted deed. What exactly restricted deed does that mean? Where we're now subsidizing a pilot, we're now helping people to move in by giving them down payments to move in. Hopefully, presumably, they're Plainfield residents, first responders, those types of people, which I've attended your meetings to hear. But what exactly is the restriction for the 5 or 10 years? Thank you.
Restricts the purchase price, right? What you can sell it for?
Nancy Peever, 1129 Myrtle Avenue. First of all, I want to talk about 124-25. I'm not against this. I think it's a good idea, but I heard the Economic Development Director talk about funding from the New Jersey Department of Labor and the U.S. Department of Labor. As a former worker for the federal government, everybody knows that the federal government is chaos right now. What happens is, or are there contingency plans if the U.S. Department of Labor does any funding cuts to any of the programs, and would that have an impact on 124-25? My other comment, I'm not against the redevelopment of the Myrtle Avenue area. However, I want to make everybody aware that in the plan, it wasn't mentioned about the Greenbrook flood control project that's going to go through in that area. I did send a copy of a map from the Army Corps of Engineers that shows that there's going to be, and this is a plan, this isn't part of the study, this is the Lower Basin project, so it's already been approved, and they're working on it currently in Middlesex, and they're moving up the Greenbrook toward us. And there's going to be levees on the north side of the Greenbrook in that area, and a partial levee on the opposite side of Jefferson. So basically, the water is going to be pushed into Plainfield. I say that because my father grew up in the Ohio area, and they were constantly being flooded, and he always talked about levees in my family. So if you have a breach, or if the levee is on one side of the brook, it's holding the water back from Greenbrook and North Plainfield, but then it's going to push the water into Plainfield, and it's going to push the water into the area that you want to redevelop. And the plan has no mention of that in the Muhlenberg Avenue redevelopment plan, and I think it needs to be looked at, and there should be a caveat there, because there's going to be a school. There's also other problems with that neighborhood in that section, because it used to be the old sewer pits. So if anybody needs a map, I'd be happy to share it with you. My father was a commissioner for the sewage authority for years, so that's why I know about what that area was used for many, many, many years. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good evening. Name, address, and resolution you're speaking regarding.
Buenas noches.
Buenas noches.
Mi nombre es Jaime Rojas. Vivo en el 211 de la North Avenue aquí de la ciudad de Plainfield. Quiero referirme a la ordenanza 2025-01 de el tema de control de renta. Quiero agradecer por aplazar la ordenanza de control de renta para poder mejorar esta propuesta. Espero que tenga un mejor impacto y podamos involucrar a todas las partes. Muchísimas gracias.
Good evening, I'm Stuart Seisenstrick at 225 Watching Avenue, where Wind the Spirit has one center. And I commend you on postponing or tabling the 2025. We have talked about a few issues, one not limited, but including the consideration of a lower limit for the increase. Most of the people that we know they're renting in the Plainfield do not have a 5% increase on their yearly salary, including more units. The limit that was proposed doesn't include a lot of houses that could be housing individuals, and of course the composition of the board, including definitely mainly Plainfield, if not only Plainfield residents, landlords, individuals here. So I commend you for working on this and making this better. And I guess all of us in Plainfield want the better control. Thank you.
Good night, everyone. My name is Duhain Lemard. I am speaking on Resolution 124. Address for the record, 201 Watchung Avenue, Plainfield. So A&A Lemard General Construction is my construction company. And with the Plainfield Work Development Center, we're pretty much partnering with them to launch a trade school and also a lumber yard. So we'll be doing a full lumber yard where we'll be employing people from Plainfield, and I'm a little bit nervous, sorry. And we will be doing a full 2-year apprenticeship program with students. We currently don't have no age limit. There'll be no age limit for the program. It will be electrical, carpentry, and plumbing. We will have professional that works with the school board before, and they will be teaching these students. They will obtain a certification that will give them chance to go to Kane, Rogers afterwards, and pretty much they will be, sorry, a little bit. I haven't been in front of the microphone, I've been on the, so a little bit nervous. I'll just read from the template.
He's speaking now. I mean, if you want to allow her to speak, she can have a full 3 minutes.
Okay,
Would you like
no,
to do that?
I'll speak from the template. Okay, so the introduction, establishing a construction training school in the city of Plainfield, enhance a cornerstone economic development, the field of construction, currently involving innovative technologies method as these late trends engulf industrial world. The need for skilled professional. One second. And basically, our objective would be to establish the training center in Plainfield, offering a 2-year apprenticeship program. The basic requirement will be a GED. We're pretty much not saying that, with a skill, you still have the same qualification as in getting a degree. You're still able to go and be an entrepreneur like us my company is successful, even though I'm a little bit, nervous around the mic and the people. We run a very successful company, and yeah, that's
Okay.
basically it.
Well, we thank you for coming out.
No problem.
Name, address, and resolution you were speaking regarding.
Good evening. My name is Jerry Fosu, 801 St. Mary's. I'm the owner of Sankofa Constructions and also Sankofa Builders, Inc. So we have a U.S. registered apprenticeship program, which is approved through the United States Department of Labor, which consists of 8,000 hours of on-the-job learning and also 527 hours of technical instructions. The trades that we're going to be teaching basically are carpentry, welding, electrical, plumbing, masonry. Then we have a 10-week course, which are add-ons of solar panel installation and heavy equipment training. As far as the school district, we have been reaching out and we're working on the cohorts and a pre-apprenticeship for the students so that they can use that as an entry point to get into the registered apprenticeship program. So pretty much when we look at the hours of 8,000 hours of OJL and 527 hours of technical training, that's about a 4-year course that they'll be with. When it comes in terms of contractors and having developers pretty much join in and support, with the new laws that's been passed, anybody that's receiving public works contracts, they have to be a part of a registered apprenticeship. So that's giving us great odds in having a lot of the contractors and developers also join on. And somebody mentioned what if, the grants and stuff are not coming through, the contractors are going to be paying fees to support the training of the apprentices also. So we're looking at many different resources apart from just grants and just, government funding. We're looking for private and also just contractors and developers within the construction industry to play a part in helping grow the workforce. As far as the age limit, there is 16 to 24 years of age for the USDOL program, but there isn't an age limit at all. You can enter at any age, and you will basically get the training. We'll find the funding that's needed to work alongside with you. Now, promotion-wise, in May, the USDOL has a month where they have a week. It's called Youth Week. We also have a program called May Day, which I basically come out and I share the construction trades, try to bring more promotions and awareness. So this year, with the timeline of the opening of the location, we're going to try to put together a nice event for the opening and then continue that week with the Youth Week program to bring more light and give more information out to the construction industry so they know how to be a part of the program. As far as support, we are backed by Rutgers University. They're key supporters with us. They through their technology department. We are applying for grants with them. And the reentry program, we also reached out to them, so we are working with the reentry program to get our citizens returning back into jobs. And that'll be my time. I'll come back and give you the rest of the information. Thank you very much, and I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
My name is Susan Stepney. I live at 738 South 2nd Street, Plainfield. I'm referring to R-14225 with the Department of Health and Social Services. I'm not sure what type of racism you're talking about here, but I had never been called a nigger or a monkey by a white person. I was born and raised in Plainfield, but I was called a monkey by a Spanish person. On top of that, my 2 grandchildren, one of them was called a hood nigger and a bitch nigger, and he's only 12 years old, by a Spanish person. And my grandson also was punched in the face. They both go to Hubbard School. And anybody that knows Hubbard School now, I went to Hubbard School. So there wasn't that many Spanish people. But it seems like all the black people been run out. I don't know where they are. However, my granddaughter had her lunch knocked out of her hand by a Spanish person. Well, you know, these are kids. I understand that, but they're afraid to speak to the people in the school for fear of being called snitches. My granddaughter saw a young man who bumped into a Spanish young man by mistake. His whole family, she said, came to the school and beat the child down with bats and things. And she's scared to tell school administrators and people about being hit. And my grandson's afraid. And he used to have locks. He cut them off. And he's been wearing a hood because he doesn't seem to have the self-esteem to own the fact that he cut his hair off. And these Spanish kids keep snatching his hood off his head. I don't understand why, my grandchildren have to endure things like that. I'm sorry if you're uncomfortable. But they're uncomfortable as
Council
well.
President, we have
I don't know what you're
we have
uncomfortable
a
about.
rule regarding personally offensive, derogatory, or abusive remarks. This may fall into that.
Can you just refrain from using the bad words?
What bad words?
I'm not going to say them, but we all.
But what bad words? I'm not saying any bad. I'm just repeating.
Okay.
I'm just
Speaker's time is
repeating
up,
what was
Council
said
President.
to them.
Thank you.
But bad words, we're adults here. What you talking about, bad words? My grandchildren,
Thank you.
don't do that, and they don't use those words.
Miss, are you going to step forward, please? Step forward, please. No, she's.
Marie and Sari Watchung Avenue are 14325 title shot. I realize there is no such thing as a no-kill facility. The state has stopped asking for statistics, so actually it's good and bad that we get statistics. Personally, I was shocked by how many animals were killed. We don't have a Facebook, we don't have a website for animal control. No one knows when animals are found unless they happen to get into the system privately by the person who lost them. No one knows who's up for adoption. We should have a strong adoption program in place. Animals should be spayed and neutered before they go out. They should be microchipped. I understand the need for a surrender fee. I did not see it in the contract. Where does the surrender fee go? Because certainly that money could be used for additional expenses. Rabies vaccines are provided by the state. They're virtually free. They're a couple dollars. So I'm not sure who's charging to administer it, but that should not be an expense or an exorbitant expense. The same with food. I know I've donated several cases of dog food and cat food. I know other people who would do it if they knew how. I am not expecting our one working ACO to take all of this on, but we pay technology a fair price. Someone must be able to set up a web page, and the last question, I have not seen posted what hours residents can go to Title Shot to reclaim an animal. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, is anyone online? Okay. Public comment in person is now closed.
Wait, no, there was someone online.
Yeah, in person. And online? Please unmute yourself.
Yes.
Name and address for the record and resolution you're speaking regarding.
Can you hear me?
I can. Hello.
Yes, hello, this is Carolyn Pittis, 617 Belvedere Avenue, referencing Resolution R11025, honoring my father, Albert. First, happy Black History Month to everyone in town.
Thank you.
Second, we are grateful for Council Vice President Sessions' presentation honoring our father and for the mayor's personal participation in funeral events for him this past week. My great-uncle gifted the Plainfield Carillon, a rare and sacred object to the citizens of Plainfield, with the expectation that it would endure for hundreds of years. In a public hearing many months back with the church owners and its proposed developers present, my father, Albert, joined with Jeff Spellman, who you've heard from this evening, in offering to lead a public-private partnership to keep the Carillon in Plainfield. Before any response to this offer, this instrument was surreptitiously removed, shocking and saddening many in this town. Clearly, the preservation protections that were in place around this property were not respected, which is disrespectful to this city council. This tragic loss did not need to happen. To leave distressed sellers free to call the shots on their own likely ensures that the city will continue to lose its cultural history, including perhaps the cultural history that you are today trying to create anew to celebrate the diversity and vibrancy of Plainfield's population. On behalf of our father, who we buried today, I would respectfully urge that the City Council reconsider how they might do things differently from here forward. Please consider strengthening the city's historic preservation rules as a lasting tribute to my father's service to this city. Please make preservation and redevelopment of historic properties more transparent and collaborative, and explicitly include informed citizen representatives alongside the city, its property owners, and its potential developers. Thank you very much for honoring our father.
Thank you. Anyone else online? Okay, public session. Comment is now closed. Okay, clerk, could you please read the consent agenda?
This Council President's identified as Resolutions 11025 through 13725, Resolution 14025 through 14625. 11725 will be voted on separately as Councilwoman Cherry will be abstaining. 13928 will be voted on separately, and 138 was removed.
Okay. Can we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Second.
Okay, clerk, may we have a roll call?
Council members Briggs Jones.
Yes.
Cherry.
Yes.
Graham.
Yes.
McCray.
Yes.
Wyatt.
Yes.
Vice President Sessoms.
Yes.
Council President Hockaday.
Yes.
The consent agenda items have been approved. We now move to Resolution 11725. Need a motion in a second.
Okay, can we have
So
a motion?
moved. Second.
Roll call, please.
Council members Briggs Jones.
Yes.
Cherry.
Abstain.
Graham.
Yes.
Wyatt.
Yes.
McCray.
Yes.
Vice President Sessoms.
Yes.
Council President Hockaday.
Yes.
6 in favor, 1 abstention. Resolution passes. Now move to Resolution 13925.
Have a
So
motion.
moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Council members Briggs Jones.
139.25, you said?
Correct.
Yes.
Cherry.
Yes.
Graham.
Yes.
McCray.
Yes.
Wyatt.
No.
Vice President Sessoms.
Yes.
Council President Hockaday.
Yes.
6 in favor, 1 opposed. Resolution's been adopted.
Do we have any other non-consent items?
No.
Is that it? Okay. All right, we're going to take a slight break from regular business, and I'm going to introduce Superior Court Judge James P. Wilson, and he will be swearing in our Chief Municipal Judge. Just give us a second and we can present them. Okay. Introducing Superior Court Judge James P. Wilson. And Judge Carl Marshall.
Where you want to stand?
Mayor Mapp will hold the
Judge, you don't know
Bible.
where you want to stand. All right, you ready? You good? All right, we'll do it this way. I'll just repeat after me. All right. This is like the 15th time, right? Something like that? Something like that. That means you're doing a good job. Just repeat after me, please. I, Carl L. Marshall,
I, Carl L. Marshall,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will faithfully and impartially
that I will faithfully and impartially
and justly perform all duties
and justly perform all duties
of the office of Chief Municipal Court Judge,
of the office of Chief Municipal Court Judge,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Further, I, Carl L. Marshall,
Further, I, Carl L. Marshall,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear truth, faith, and allegiance
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the same
to the same,
and to the governments established in the United States
and to the governments established in the United States
and in this state,
and in this state,
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, you're in once again. Take off my glasses because they always think we're twins, they get us mixed up. This is where I revoked their license.
Thank you. All right.
We've just proved that they are not the same person.
You did force him to do a correction the other day. His picture of my
You're welcome. Okay, we now move to ordinances on second reading and final passage. First with MC 2025-01, I am going to entertain a motion to table such ordinance. Since we proposed that on first reading, I've heard from different community organizations, Wind of the Spirit being one of them, expressing concerns with the legislation and giving us more ideas that we need to look at. And it became apparent that we needed to talk to more community organizations as we craft this legislation to make it most impactful for residents. So your suspicions were confirmed that we do just want more time to be deliberate and make sure that it's a good ordinance. I think when we hear from the community that we are that we can do a little better with an ordinance such as this, then we listen. So I certainly agree with the tabling of this until we can make it better and have meetings with organizations. So I look forward to engaging in those meetings in the next weeks to come. All right. So can I have a motion to table 2025-01?
Second.
Okay. Can we have a roll call?
It's a roll call to table MC 2025-01. Council members Briggs Jones?
Yes.
Cherry?
Yes.
Graham?
Yes.
McCray?
Yes.
Wyatt?
Yes.
Vice President Sessoms?
Yes.
Council President Hockaday?
Yes.
That is unanimous. MC 2025-01 has been tabled.
Okay. Madam Deputy, please read by the MC 2025-02 by title and certify that it's complied with the statutory publication requirements.
MC 2025-02 is an ordinance for a four-way stop intersection at Berkman Street and East 3rd Street to amend and supplement Chapter 16, Vehicles and Traffic, Article 7, through streets, stop intersections, stop and yield intersections, designating certain four-way stop and three-way stop intersections. It is hereby certified that notice of a public hearing on this ordinance was published in the Courier News on January 27th, 2025.
Okay, the floor is now open for any member of the public who would like to speak on this ordinance specifically. Okay, that was all right, may I have a motion to close public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, public hearing is now closed. May I have a motion to adopt this ordinance on second reading and final
So
passage?
moved.
Second.
Okay, clerk, may we have a roll call?
Roll call MC 2025-02. Council members Briggs Jones?
Yes.
Cherry?
Yes.
Graham?
Yes.
McCray?
Yes.
Wyatt?
Yes.
Vice President Sessoms?
Yes.
Council President Hockaday?
Yes.
That is unanimous. This ordinance has been adopted on second reading and final passage.
Thank you. Madam Deputy, please read MC 2025-03 by title and certify its legal compliance.
MC 2025-03 is an ordinance of the City of Plainfield, County of Union, New Jersey, adopting the 12th Amendment to the 197 Scattered Sites Redevelopment Plan dated December 12th, 2024. It is hereby certified that notice of a public hearing on this ordinance was published in the Courier News on January 27th, 2025.
Okay, the floor is now open to anyone who would like to speak regarding MC 2025-03. Hearing and seeing none, no one online. I will entertain a motion to close public hearing.
So moved. Second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, now let's have a motion to adopt this ordinance on second reading and final passage.
Second.
Okay, clerk, roll call.
Roll call MC 2025-03. Council members Briggs Jones?
Yes.
Cherry?
Yes.
Graham?
Yes.
McCray?
Yes.
Wyatt?
Yes.
Vice President Sessoms?
Yes.
Council President Hockaday?
Yes.
That is unanimous. This ordinance has been adopted on second reading and final passage.
Thank you. Madam Deputy, please read by title MC 2025-04 and certify its legal compliance.
MC 2025-04 is an ordinance to amend Chapter 17, Land Use, 17:8-2.a and 17:8-7.b.6 in the City of Plainfield for the additional requirement of submitting digital copies to the Planning Board and Zoning Board of Adjustment. It is hereby certified that notice of a public hearing on this ordinance was published in the Courier News on January 27th, 2025.
Okay, the floor is now open to any member of the public who would like to speak on this ordinance specifically. Seeing none in the gallery and no one online, I'll entertain a motion to close public hearing.
So moved. Second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, can I have a motion to adopt this ordinance on second reading and final passage?
So moved.
Second.
Clerk, roll call.
Roll call MC 2025-04. Council members Briggs Jones?
Yes.
Cherry?
Yes.
Graham?
Yes.
McCray?
Yes.
Wyatt?
Yes.
Vice President Sessoms?
Yes.
Council President Hockaday.
Yes.
That is unanimous. This ordinance has been adopted on second reading and final passage.
Thank you. Madam Deputy, please read MC 2025-06.
MC 2025-06 is an ordinance of the City of Plainfield in the County of Union amending Chapter 17, the Land Use Ordinance, Article 9, Section 17:9-23, buildings or structures per lot, primary and accessory dwelling units. It is hereby certified that notice of a public hearing on this ordinance was published in the Courier News on January 27, 2025.
Okay, the floor is now open if anyone would like to speak regarding accessory dwelling units. Sure.
Nancy Peter, 1129 Myrtle Avenue. Does this mean that you can take a garage and convert it into an apartment? And if so, they still have to abide by, come before zoning or planning to do that?
Yes. So you can add an accessory dwelling unit up to 800 square feet. It can be over your garage or it could be a separate unit.
Okay, so if they're not using the garage as a garage, then they need to come before zoning or planning.
Because this as of right, they can go straight to planning or they can just apply for a zoning permit.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anyone online? All right, motion to close public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Did you want to speak regarding this? Okay, let's allow her.
Maria and Sari Watchung Avenue. We're still using hyperbole and false information to justify letting sports hunters bring a deadly crossbow
We're
into
talking.
our
out of order.
parks.
I'm sorry.
Pardon?
I'm sorry. We are talking specifically regarding MC 2025-06.
Oh, I thought, I'm sorry, I was outside. It's not public speaking.
Not quite yet.
Yes.
So we'll see you in a few. Thank you. Okay, so I'll continue to close public comment. All right, now, may we have a motion to adopt this ordinance on second reading and final passage? Yes.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, can we have a roll call?
Certainly. Roll call on MC 2025-06. Council members Briggs Jones.
Yes.
Cherry.
Yes.
Graham.
Yes.
McCray.
Yes.
Wyatt.
No.
Vice President Sessoms.
Yes.
Council President Hockaday.
Yes.
6 in favor, 1 opposed. MC 2025-06 has been adopted on second reading and final passage.
Okay, Madam Deputy, please read by title MC 2025-07 and certify its legal compliance.
MC 2025-07 is an ordinance of the City of Plainfield, County of Union, New Jersey, adopting the Second Amendment to the scattered city-owned parking lots and adjacent lots redevelopment plan dated December 12, 2024. It is hereby certified that notice of a public hearing on this ordinance was published in the Courier News on January 27, 2025.
Okay, the floor is now open for anyone who'd like to speak regarding MC 2025-07. Anyone online? There's no one in person. May I have a motion to close public hearing?
So moved.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, may I have a motion to adopt this ordinance on second reading and final passage?
So
And if
moved.
adopted.
Second.
Okay. Clerk, may we have a roll call?
Roll call MC 2025-07. Council members Briggs Jones.
Yes.
Cherry.
Yes.
Graham.
Yes.
McCray.
Yes.
Wyatt.
Yes.
Vice President Sessoms.
Yes.
Council President Hockaday.
Yes.
That is unanimous. This ordinance has been adopted on second reading and final passage.
Okay, thank you. We now move to ordinances on first reading. Madam Deputy, please read MC 2025-08 by title.
MC 2025-08 is an ordinance opting into the Garden State Commercial Property Assessed Clean Energy CPACE program to facilitate the financing of CPACE projects.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adopt this on first reading.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Roll call MC 2025-08. Council members Briggs Jones.
Yes.
Cherry?
Yes.
Graham?
Yes.
McCray?
Yes.
Wyatt?
Yes.
Vice President Sessoms?
Yes.
Council President Hockaday.
Yes.
This ordinance has been adopted on first reading.
Thank you. Madam Deputy, please read MC 2025-09 by title.
MC 2025-09 is an ordinance of the City of Plainfield, County of Union, New Jersey, adopting the Myrtle Avenue redevelopment plan dated January 16th, 2025.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion to adopt this ordinance on first reading.
So moved.
Second.
Clerk, may we have a roll call?
Roll call MC 2025-09. Council members Briggs Jones.
No.
Cherry?
Yes.
Graham?
Yes.
McCray?
Yes.
Wyatt?
No.
Vice President Sessoms?
Yes.
Council President Hockaday.
Yes.
5 in favor, 2 opposed. This ordinance has been adopted on first reading.
Okay, thank you. Madam Deputy, would you please read MC 2025-10 by title?
MC 2025-10 is an ordinance of the City of Plainfield and the County of Union granting a tax exemption with respect to certain property identified on the city's tax map as Block 218, lots 23, 24, and 27, and designated in the city's tax records as 25 Clinton Avenue, 21 Clinton Avenue, and 1314-20 West Front Street, Plainfield, New Jersey, and authorizing the execution of a financial agreement with 1314 West Front Street Urban Renewal, LLC.
I'll entertain a motion to adopt this on first reading.
So moved.
Second. Okay, clerk, can we have a roll call?
Roll call MC 2025-10. Council members Briggs Jones.
Yes.
Cherry?
Yes.
Graham?
Yes.
McCray?
Yes.
Wyatt?
No.
Vice President Sessoms?
Yes.
Council President Hockaday.
Yes.
6 in favor, 1 opposed. This ordinance has been adopted on first reading.
Okay, Madam Deputy, please read MC 2025-11 by title.
MC 2025-11 is an ordinance of the City of Plainfield and the County of Union, New Jersey, enacting amendments to the TODD South redevelopment plan.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adopt this on first reading.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Roll call MC 2025-11. Council members Briggs Jones.
Yes.
Cherry?
Yes.
Graham?
Yes.
McCray?
Yes.
Wyatt?
Yes.
Vice President Sessoms?
Yes.
Council President Hockaday.
Yes.
That is unanimous. This ordinance has been adopted on first reading.
Okay, thank you. Madam Deputy, please read MC 2025-12 by title.
MC 2025-12 is an ordinance amending Chapter 9:17-1, Schedule of Fees of the City of Plainfield to establish vendor fees for the Lenny Cathcart House Music Festival.
Okay, motion and a second on first reading.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Roll call MC 2025-12. Council members Briggs Jones.
No.
Cherry?
Yes.
Graham?
Yes.
McCray?
Yes.
Wyatt?
No.
Vice President Sessoms?
No.
And Council President Hockaday.
Yes.
4 in favor, 3 opposed. Ordinance has been adopted on first reading.
Okay. That's it. All right, we now move to general public comments. So for those who didn't get a chance to finish on the allotted time earlier, has an opportunity now, as well as any member of the public that would like to speak for any reason at all. A total of 30 minutes has been allocated. Each speaker will be given 3 minutes. The floor is yours. Name and address for the record. Good evening.
Maria and Sarah Watchung Avenue. We still invite sports hunters with their deadly crossbow to slaughter deer in 2 parks. I did an Oprah. The hyperbole about why we're doing this needs to stop. Here's some facts, try to remember them. For all of 2024, there were 4 deer versus auto incidents. For all of 2024, there were 4 deer euthanized because of irreversible injury. I know of one who was impaled on a spiked fence. auto versus auto at any stop sign, intersection 403. Auto versus pedestrian, 58. The deer are paying attention. Auto versus bicycle, 58. So there goes the traffic misconception. It's time we stop. That's all I have to say. Everything else you've heard before. You've glanced off into space. It's ridiculous. Why do I pick animals? Because their voice is the smallest, and animals help people. People get comfort by service animals, emotional support animals. Children often learn their first compassion with an animal. We've got to stop the violence and the okay that you can kill a sentient being in a brutal, painful way. I'm done. Thank you.
Jerry Fosu, 801 St. Mary's. So, just a recap on the workforce training facility. So as far as the building, the timeline is to get the location going by this spring on the first floor, which is less work to be done. So we try to get that going due to the fact that a lot of the time is OJL, which is they're going to be with contractors, they're going to be working on real sites, so that gives that on-hands experience. And then within a year and a half to 2 years, pretty much have a state-of-the-art workshop lab so that we can at least give them an extra 6 months on the hand within the school building before they go and start joining our companies and start working on that. And they will be getting paid. So the program basically, I think it is $17.35 the first year, and by the time they complete the program, it gets up to being $33 or $35 an hour. So it is a paid training they're going through. One thing. Also, we're going to be bringing services through the nonprofit section, the Soccer for Builders, Inc., which is going to be providing shower bays. We would like to put a couple of shower bays within the building for people who don't have the necessary things they need. And also, we'll be providing lunches, breakfast and lunch. Guys can pick up their lunch if they don't have it when they go to the job sites. And different resources as far as in resume writing, interviewing, things like that. All the things that comes along with just helping people get jobs and retaining jobs. Another thing is the program is not set up just for people to go apply for jobs. The program is set up for people at the end of the day to be entrepreneurs. So we'll have programs that show people how to become an entrepreneur, how to become an independent private contractor, how to get their banking together, their paperwork together. So this is what we're trying to build and bring to this ecosystem. We're not bringing a facility that's going to be here for a decade. We're talking about generationals. We're trying to keep this going for generations to come. Give the ability for our residents to be able to not just be able to put themselves back in the economy here in Plainfield, but have the ability to be able to go anywhere in the United States, in Jersey, to be able to apply in that construction field. It is one of the biggest industries. When we talk about infrastructure, there's a lot of bills, there's a lot of funding going. Even though we have a new administration, there's a lot of grants coming out. I just received a grant today, that a notice for a grant that's out. So we're not going to turn our backs on those things. We're going to look at every opportunity that we can get to raise the funds to give the facility that could give the type of training that we believe in. This mission has been 15 years in the making. To me, basically, on Friday, we were walking through the building, and I just took a look, and I said, this is basically identifies with two things, a mustard seed and a Chinese bamboo. If you know those two things, a mustard seed is a small seed, but heavy faith. Chinese bamboo, you have to have a lot of patience, because once you plant that seed, it doesn't come out right away. It takes several years for it to emerge, and when it's emerged, within months, it shoots 10 times higher. So it's persistence, trust, and just being, patient. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
I'm just here on behalf of
Name
my...
name and address for the
self,
record, sorry.
Susan Stepney, 738 South Second Street. And to say, my mother and father wouldn't have liked me going against the rules. And I understand the bad words that she was referring to, or I wasn't directing them at anyone. I'm just trying to tell the story. And he was speaking about how our mental health, she was speaking about we black people don't even look for help, with our mental health, and because it's considered a stigma. But I don't like that my grandchildren say they don't want to tell anybody, that they have to endure bullying or whatever. And the result of that, mentally, emotionally, physically, the damage that it does. Okay? And I would like somebody to just address it, like in some way, because grandparents, I used to be able to go into the school anytime with my children. I was a classroom parent. I was very participatory in my children's education, and I wish I could go in sometimes and just sit like I used to and observe, or, get a relationship with the children so they realize, bullying isn't nice. Everybody wants to be happy. Everybody is there to learn, I hope. And I was valedictorian in my college class. I'm not a dummy. I'm not somebody who's just ignorant, somebody who's just ghetto. I'm someone who loves learning, intended to be a teacher, but had health issues that prevented me from finishing at Columbia University, Teachers College. So, but I still have a love for the school and the classroom and children. I mentor children. I did all kinds of things, as reference to the school system and everything. Forgive me for breaking the rules, but I was just telling exactly what was said. I wasn't trying to be offensive. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Good evening. My name is Althea Llewellyn, 1282 Worth Drive. Now, as a longtime resident of Plainfield, 32 years, I live in the second ward, and there is a property called the Peterson Farm, and I'm a part of a community that is deeply concerned about the future of that property. In 2020, my husband and I conducted an informal survey of our neighbors, about 100 residents in the environ of that property, to find out what they want that property to become. We recently provided the results of that survey to Mayor Mapp and his administration, and recently we received a survey which the administration has put forth, and the Peterson Farm was a part of the choices for what that property should become. Within the last few weeks, we've been trying to educate the public as to what that choice was, because there were no details given about what the Peterson Farm initiative was. So one of the things that we'd like to see is that we preserve the local history of the farm, create the capacity to serve a wide range of users, position the farm to contribute daily to the community in a positive and measurable way, and enrich the lives of the residents of Union County, both present and future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nancy Peeler, 1129 Myrtle Avenue. I really do wish, and I hope that this project that these two gentlemen were talking about and the Economic Development Officer was talking about comes to fruition. I'm just worried about the chaos in Washington and hope that that funding doesn't hurt any positive projects. And I hope that a component of that project could be maybe reaching out to some of the seniors who may need projects done at their house and would be willing to hire some of these young people to help them with small projects within their households, and it would be beneficial for the seniors in town that would need help. I also want to thank the administration and the council for recognizing Al Pettis. I sat on the Cultural and Heritage Commission with him for probably 40 years. And he really did care about this town, and it is really distressing that the Carillions that his family donated over 100 years ago are now gone. It's just, there are no words. There just are no words. The other thing is, there is so much chaos in Washington right now, and somebody that was born and raised was born in Plainfield. I don't know if he was raised in Plainfield, but on Wikipedia says that he was born in Plainfield, probably at Muhlenberg Hospital, lost his job, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, and so we do have to worry about what goes on down south of us, because people like this gentleman, Rohit Chopra, who was born here, lost his job during this chaos, and that bureau that he was running, whether it was good or bad, or what he was trying to protect residents and consumers in the United States, and he's now out of a job. Thank you very much.
Good evening. Name Mr. Guzman, 129 New Street. I've been a member of this community for like 42 years. I lived in Plainfield. I really lived in Plainfield, lived the life. So I've been looking at the infrastructure at Plainfield within our people, the wandering ones. We see gentrification, we see wandering ones. Our people that we grew up with, lived with, went to school with. What is the future for our people that just wandering in the streets each and every day? Do we have a plan for them? We have a plan for the city. What about for our people? I look at a place they call a mental, right on 7th Street, where they keep the people with mental issues. It's a funny thing. I'm not going to get into it, but it's not a nice look for the city, for the way they're getting treated, for the way they wander. You know, so my question is, do we have a plan for these people? Are we going to leave them wander in the streets? The one that's sitting, just doing things? That's all I have to say. Just simple question. Thank you.
Sal Carano, 1284 East Front Street, MC 202506. The renovation of potentially a building that's attached and/or detached, and the guidelines that may go with it. Is it a separate property deed that potentially could be created, or is it the same deed for ownership? And then the question would be, is there grant money you're going to make available or taxpayer money to help renovate it to get a private income for the homeowner? I mean, I get it. I had aging parents as well. But I'm not too sure about the details that you're giving away to the planning board and the variance board and anybody else. Again, giving up power unless you control that body. Mr. Pittis, it's very sad that the daughter on the day of burial had to come before and say, basically, my interpretation, what is all your legacy? Will it be here 100 years from now? I doubt it. It's not protected. You're not protecting what was. Free speech. Free speech is very uncomfortable. My father couldn't stand it, and he fought in 3 wars. Anybody desecrate the flag was an enemy of the state. That's free speech. It is uncomfortable sometimes and ugly. But it also makes people, or peoples, that did horrific things in the past, think about it. Don't wash books. Don't burn books. Read. Create movies that I didn't know there were black women in NASA. Helped create the space program. Don't stop the speech simply because it's uncomfortable. I agree with the both people of the same person who came before this microphone and spoke both ways, both times. Both times very respectful, but both times quoted or wanted to quote. So thank you. Lastly, I really would like a discussion or an answer on the deed ownership of renovating, because all you're doing again is just increasing the population. Is there an easement? Will the easement be acceptable now to get to the back building? I know we have some of them currently, but this allows much more to happen to the city. Thank you.
Were you talking about accessory dwelling units there? Okay. All right, public, anybody online? No. Okay. So public hearing is now closed. Just speak regarding accessory dwelling units. As far as I knew, there's no, it's the same ownership.
Right, there's
right?
no
So there's no
deed restriction
there's no-
on accessory dwelling units. So what the land use ordinance is saying is that before the amendment went through, it basically allowed only one primary structure on R1, R2, R3. This will allow one primary structure and one accessory dwelling unit structure on it. It will still have to follow all the bulk standards of R1, R2, R3, with the exception of allowing an additional structure.
Any size requirements, minimums or maximums?
So it's a maximum of 800 square feet, and in terms of height, it's a maximum of 24 square feet tall.
Okay, thank you.
Council President, can
sure.
I? Okay, thank you. So I want to thank you first for restating what you wanted to say. You might not know this, but for many people here, they're currently at work. These are working hours for some people, and they're currently they're being paid as employees. And so we have a job, as I'm also the HR director, to make sure that in their place of work, they're free from any discriminatory or harassing language. And some of the comments may have made implications about an ethnic group that people shouldn't be subject to hearing in the place of their work. So I wanted to clarify that for you. Second of all, I was not here at the last meeting, obviously, but there were comments made that I wanted to be able to respond to. It came to my attention that some members of the council may be under the impression that the city is not covering retirees in terms of their health benefits. And so I wanted to clarify that and make sure that everybody has the facts. The city absolutely covers retirees for health benefits. There are state laws related to when you pay contributions and when you don't pay contributions in retirement. That state law is called Chapter 78. Many of us are familiar with it, and it states that if you didn't have 20 years of service in the pension by June 28th, 2011, you must make contributions into your health insurance in your retirement. Those contributions range anywhere from like 5% of your pension to up to 35% of your pension amount. I believe in the case that was here last month, that person pays $500 out of $4,500. The rest is absorbed 100% by the rest is absorbed by the taxpayer in the municipal budget. Chapter 78 came around to lighten the burden on the taxpayer to retiree and employee benefits. As you know, that's one of our largest budget items. It's about $20 million of our budget. So I ran some numbers for you in case you were thinking that you're interested in covering benefits for people who don't meet the criteria as per Chapter 78. Last year, our average household tax increase was $155. Had we not collected those contributions, the average increase in taxes for households would have been $416.35, which is an increase of $260. So, as stewards, obviously, of the city's fiduciary responsibilities, I would say that adding $260 to the average home is likely not what you intend to do. However, when we introduce the budget to you, obviously that is your prerogative to put that forward.
If I could also, Council President, with regard to statements that were made last week, when council members or any member of this administration accepts the position, we place our hand, most of us, on the Bible, and we take an oath. And by taking that oath, we now have a fiduciary responsibility to the city. And part of that fiduciary responsibility is that when we receive information, we have an obligation to determine whether or not that information is accurate before issuing statements that could potentially hurt the city as we move forward. Some council members were very diligent when they received this information to come forward and ask questions of my office and the business administrator. Others did not. I can encourage all council members, when receiving information from interest groups that have an interest that may not align with the city's, that they at least seek the information before making public statements. Thank you, Council President.
Mr. President,
Yes.
I would like to make comments on a couple things. I believe that both the Corporation Council and the BA provided some very good information pertaining to health benefits, and as well as advice to members of the governing body about the fiduciary responsibility of us as elected officials. It was mentioned concerning one of the items on the agenda. It was an ordinance pertaining to a study of in need of redevelopment study for Myrtle Avenue. And it was represented to you that the Greenbrook Flood Control Commission project, which is well over 50 years old, and I once was a commissioner on that board, and I believe that we now have a couple of representatives on that Greenbrook Flood Control Commission. I believe John Louise is one of them, and I believe Orrin Dabney. If I am not correct, please let me know. But what was said is that the Greenbrook Flood Control Commission is going to be building levees along the Greenbrook, and that would push water into the city of Plainfield. That is the kind of information that should not be put out into the public domain, because it is absolutely and totally false. The Greenbrook Flood Control Commission is a project that is funded by the Army Corps of Engineers. It gets its funded on an annual basis by an appropriation in the federal budget. And the purpose of the commission is to alleviate flooding along the Greenbrook for all of the municipalities that are on the Greenbrook. It is not to exacerbate the situation, but it is to alleviate. And once that project is completed, or once it makes its way up the eastern side of the Greenbrook, it would prevent water that currently comes from the Greenbrook, creating flooding in Plainfield, in Scotch Plains, in Fanwood. It would alleviate the flooding that we now experience. So it wouldn't be pushing water as a result of levees being built into Plainfield. Just imagine a project that would be aimed or designed in that manner. There would be a huge public outcry. The professional engineers that are all involved would not allow that to happen. So the opposite is correct. That project would alleviate the flooding that we now experience from the western end of our city to the eastern end and beyond. And I can't wait to see it make its way up the eastern end of the Greenbrook because it is so necessary. People who live in the First Ward on Netherwood Avenue, on Leland Avenue, and in these other parts of our city, they experience significant flooding as a result of the water that comes from the Greenbrook. And so the Greenbrook Flood Control Commission, once the project is completed, it would alleviate flooding in the entire city of Plainfield. I wanted to make that point very clear. As far as the bells are concerned and Grace Church, it saddens me that we're even having this conversation. But I was in the process a couple of weeks ago when it came to my attention that Jess Spellman, who is still sitting here, was trying over the course of several months to gain access to Grace Church to maintain the bells as he did for a number of years. That access was being denied. And I met with our Director of Economic Development, and I told her I needed her to arrange a meeting with the developer, myself, and with Jess Spellman, and as well as Jim Spear, for the purpose of making sure that they have access in order to maintain those bells. And in that process, Director Fields, it was disclosed to her by an agent of the developer that the diocese removed and sold the bells, unbeknownst to anyone. And so when we were informed about that, I made sure I communicated that information to Jim Spear and to Jess Spellman, who were the ones, wanting to gain access in order to maintain those bells. And that happened, and on the eve of that, the donor, Al Pettis, who he and his family were the donors of those bells, he passed away. So no time would have been a good time for the diocese to treat the city of Plainfield the way that it did, or to treat the Pettis family the way that it did. It was just incredible hearing that news, and to have it on the eve of, the burial of Al Pettis was very sad. And so, as mayor of this city, and the fact that the project is still in progress, we will do everything that we can to make sure that there is some resolution to this issue that is favorable to the family, the Pettis family. We discovered today that the bells were sold to what one on the surface would think is another religious institution, but we found out that it is not. It's like an auction house, for want of a better word. And so we're very saddened that the diocese of the state of New Jersey, the Episcopal Diocese, and I have been a member of an Episcopal church for many years, ever since I moved to Plainfield in 1979. And to have this happen to the city and to the family leaves us lost for words. But this is not the end. We will continue, and I will make sure that we will do everything that we can as a city to let the diocese know, let the developer know that things cannot move forward as intended without there being some measure of justice. And that's all I have to say at this time.
Thank you. All right. Motion to adjourn? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, meeting adjourned. Thank you.